Bob and Dan's Flowery Adventure. "Hey, Bob, do you know where cut flowers come from?" Dan asked. "That's a strange question to ask someone right out of the blue," Bob replied suspiciously. "It's just that I was at the flower shop the other day to buy a bouquet for my mom's birthday, and it got me to wondering where all the flowers came from," Dan told his friend. I've never really thought about it," Bob admitted. "I guess your question wasn't so stupid after all." "There is no such thing as a stupid question, or something like that," Dan recalled. "Listen, my uncle grows chrysanthemums in Tianwei. Why don't we go ask him a few stupid questions while we're at it?" Bob laughed. "He can give us a tour of the area and explain everything." "Sounds good to me. Let's go." Later that day, they met up with Bob's Uncle Melvin at a flower packaging plant in Tianwei. "This is where the magic happens, boys," Uncle Melvin began in a boastful way. "This plant supplies flowers to countries all over the globe, but our primary market is in Japan, followed closely by Hong Kong." The smell of flowers was amazing. It reminded Dan of his old Auntie Elaine, who always reeked of cheap perfume. But this smell was strong in a good way. "But where do all the flowers come from?" Dan inquired, looking around the busy plant. "They don't grow here." "Yes, that's true. The flowers are grown in local fields, and then brought to the plant by the farmers. I would guess that we take flowers from 100 farmers or so," Melvin informed the curious boys. "They bring them to us in bundles of 10s and are already wrapped in cellophane." "So 10 flowers per bundle. Got it," Bob stated. He had already noticed that all the flowers were wrapped in clear cellophane. "Actually, each stem produces more than one flower. In reality, there are many more than 10 flowers in each unit," Melvin informed them. "Then you throw them in a box and off they go, right?" Dan guessed. "I wish it were that simple," Melvin told them. "Some of the flowers are then soaked in a water and dye solution to give them color. Chrysanthemums are naturally white, so we dye them to give consumers more choices." "Then what?" Bob asked, after taking a look inside the big tubs where the flowers were soaking in the dye solution. "Then they are placed into the walk-in cooler until we have enough to fill an entire boxcar for shipping. We can't just send it half full, as it wouldn't be cost-effective," Melvin said as he opened the door. "Why don't you look inside?" The boys stepped into the cooler. It was very big and very cold. It was like walking straight into the Arctic without a jacket on. "Brr," Bob muttered. "Doesn't this cold kill the flowers? I thought they would like it hot." "Flowers grow when it's hot, but when it is cool, their growth slows down. In effect, they are kind of hibernating, or in a dormant stage," Melvin explained. "If we didn't refrigerate the flowers, they would bloom and die too quickly. Without refrigeration, exporting flowers would be nearly impossible." The boys ran out of the cooler and closed the door behind them. They'd had enough of the cooler and had the shivers. Uncle Melvin led them to the packaging area and showed them the different machines used to package the flowers. One machine taped the boxes tightly shut. The other wrapped a fiberglass ribbon around the box to ensure that it stayed shut during transport. The packaged boxes were then stacked back in the cooler to await shipping. "Wow, there sure are a lot of people involved in the process. I thought that one man would just throw a bunch of flowers in a box and stick it in the mail," Dan laughed. "I wish it were that easy," Uncle Melvin admitted. "But it isn't so bad. It's only really busy prior to holidays and festivals. The rest of the time, things are pretty relaxed around here." "Thanks for showing us around," Dan and Bob said. "No problem, boys. Uncle Bob replied. "Come back any time. I enjoy the company." "We will," the boys promised. Dan and Bob hopped on their bikes and pedaled for home. They waved back to Uncle Melvin as they rode away. It had been a very informative day, and the boys were very grateful. Tomorrow they could tell their friends all about it.